Hey everyone, I just wanted to do a new video on The Charge of the Light Brigade, which was a poem written by Alfred Lord Tennyson in around 1854. And it is in regards to a military charge that was a catastrophe because it was it resulted in extremely high casualties for the British cavalry. And the charge of the Light Brigade was a charge of British light cavalry led by Lord Cardigan against Russian forces during the Battle of Balaclava on the 25th of October, 1854, in the Crimean War. Overall, the British forces had intended to send the Light Brigade to prevent the Russians from removing captured guns from overrun Turkish positions, a task well suited for light cavalry. However, there was a miscommunication in the chain of command, and the Light Brigade was instead sent on a frontal assault against a different artillery battery, one well prepared with excellent fields of defensive fire. They reached the battery under withering direct fire and scattered some of the gunners, but they were forced to retreat immediately. Thus the assault ended with very high British casualties and no decisive gains. The poem itself is worth reading, and I think it was important to me as a kid to get this poem written, to have this poem read to me, because I feel that it changed my perspective both on heroism but also on the military in general, that they were very brave to risk their lives for this, but at the same time, they were given false orders, and it really makes you question the chain of command, and it always makes you remember to question arguments from authority, that you have to have reason and evidence and logic on your side. You cannot simply follow the chain of command. Although this specific incident actually raised the status of the British light cavalry because it elevated their status in terms of being viewed by other militaries and other peoples as being honorable and valiant for charging essentially to their death. But for all of us who are not part of it, all of the kids, all of the people that, like me, who were read this poem and witnessed the aftermath of what happened in this situation, in terms of from a long view, historically speaking, I think that it changed our perspective, because just like the kids of the people from World War II were shown that the great and the valiant and the brave men were just thrown into the meat grinder essentially and destroyed, and that's essentially the price that you pay for being heroic in this modern day and age. So I felt that it would be important to, first of all, to congratulate the people who were brave enough, unfortunately, to sacrifice themselves, but unfortunately, it was not for naught at the same time, because they did elevate the British cavalry, but it also sacrificed so many lives unnecessarily. So I would like to read this poem now, and hopefully other people will be able to gain something from it the way that I did when I was younger. So let's begin. Half a league, half a league, half a league onward, all in the valley of death, rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade, charge for the guns, he said. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade. Was there a man dismayed? Not though the soldier knew someone had blundered. Theirs not to make reply, theirs not to reason why, theirs but to do and die. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon in front of them, volleyed and thundered, stormed at with shot and shell. Boldly they rode and well into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell rode the 600. Flashed all their sabres bare, flashed as they turned in air, sabring the gunners there, charging an army, while all the world wondered, plunged into the battery smoke. Right through the line they broke, Cossack and Russian reeled from the sabre stroke, shattered and sundered. Then they rode back, but not the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon behind them, volleyed and thundered, stormed at with shot and shell, while horse and hero fell. They that had fought well, so well, came through the jaws of death, back from the mouth of hell, all that was left of them, left of the 600. When can their glory fade? Oh, oh, the wild charge they made, all the world wondered. Honor the charge they made, honor the Light Brigade, noble 600. So that is the poem, and I think that it was really important for me as a person to get this information out there because it did have such an impact on me and I never forgot it. And recently I had a Twitter conversation with someone who also remembered it, who did have an impact on it. So I guess it definitely is something that I'd hope that future generations don't lose contact with. And a lot of them probably already have because let's be honest, no one really reads anymore, especially for my generation. So I'd really hope that this maybe comes in contact with some people and they can reminisce about it, and then with other people, it may be their first introduction. But I think this poem is very well written, and I think it's worth being recorded in several different ways, and this may be one of them. So, as well as the situation itself, um, the casualties were 278 casualties, beside 335 horses killed in action. And there were also a number of prisoners taken. So the casualties were very heavy. So almost 50%, if not more than 50%, of the soldiers themselves were killed in battle. And it really makes you wonder, um, in this day and age, does it has the era of, sabers rattling and heroic battle charges, has that era ended, and now do we are we just stuck with technology and with people standing far back from the lines of battle, not just the leaders but also the soldiers themselves, who are so far removed from the sacrifices of our ancestors and from the actual sacrifices that are needed to take place on the battlefield to actually become heroic. And I unfortunately feel that the era of heroics has ended and that it has been replaced with a far less impressive and unfortunately far less um, morally intact generation. So hopefully this kind of poem will resurrect that spirit of those people and resurrect the era of heroics that in some way heroics should be able to adapt to a modern setting, and that even if we are not charging at our enemies with sword unsheathed and on the back of a horse, we may still be able to reminisce and replicate that level of heroics that those men gained that day. Anyways, have a good day.